Hello everyone, welcome to Online Health Talk organized by Sokakakai Malaysia. The theme of the talk today is maintaining a healthy body and mind during the COVID-19 pandemic. I am Dr. Xiao, the host of the talk today. In the modern era of medical science, COVID-19 pandemic still remains a disaster to all of us. More than 300,000 people have died worldwide from this pandemic, and the figure keeps rising. Children stop going to school, parents cannot work in the usual manner, and many might lose their jobs soon. We might be in constant fear or stress. We couldn't simply go out due to the movement control order and have to adopt a new norm in keeping ourselves in safe social distance. How to cope in the era with many uncertainties? We are honored to have 3 speakers today to guide us along to cope with the uncertainties by maintaining a healthy body and mind during the COVID-19 pandemic. Let me introduce the first speaker, Dr. Chiong. She is an associate professor in the Family Medicine Department of University Putra Malaysia. She obtained her medical degree from University Malaysia Sarawak in 2001 and completed her master program in family medicine in University of Malaya in 2010. Dr. Chiong will explain what the normal and abnormal reactions are while we are facing COVID-19 pandemic. She will also further explain on how to recognize someone who might have depression or suicidal idea. Furthermore, she will tell us who should seek medical attention if suspecting mental health problem. Without further ado, let us invite Associate Professor Dr. Chiong.
Thank you, Dr. Xiao, for your kind introduction. Hi, how are you? The main impacts of COVID-19 pandemic is we are having a new ways of life. Just imagine you want to go to supermarket to purchase some items. Before going out from the house, we need to maintain a good hygiene. We need to wear mask, and after reaching supermarket, we need to measure the body temperature. And inside the supermarket, we need to practice social distancing. Before coming out from the supermarket, we also need to frequently use hand sanitizer. And after reaching home, we need to take a shower and remove all the covers of the items that we bought from supermarket. At the same time, we also told to stay at home unless we need to get the essential items. And we try to avoid these 3 C's: crowded place, confined space, as well as close conversation. In Malaysia, more than 600,000 people are unemployed now. Firstly, those who are self-employed and those who work in the small and medium enterprise are severely affected by COVID-19 pandemic. Secondly, those who work in airlines as well as big companies also affected. Because of the COVID-19 pandemic, there's a fall in the demand of the market, and it caused the price of the palm oil as well as rubber to reduce as well. Even though there is market for vegetables, however, the vegetable farmers from Cameron Highland also sustained a loss during MCO because of the logistic problem. What are the common mental health issues that encountered during COVID-19 pandemic? The common mental health issues that can occur during this pandemic are stress, anxiety, as well as depression. According to study, 1/3 of the general population may suffer from these mental health issues. What is stress? Stress actually is a normal physiological response towards a dangerous things. And if we worry too much on the dangerous thing which is unknown or not happen, this is called anxiety. Excessive anxiety can lead to helplessness and hopelessness. In long term, it can cause depression. Actually, during pandemic, appropriate anxiety and stress response are acceptable. Because of this anxiety, That's why we will start to take care of ourselves better by wearing masks as well as frequently wash our hands. So what is abnormal response during this pandemic? I give you an example. Those people who spend too much of time watching news or watching phones to follow up the pandemic, the latest development, which is disturb their daily activity, then it will cause a abnormal response. Or somebody, because of excessive weariness, they repeat doing the hand washing until the hand become redness, or we call the contact dermatitis, then this is also abnormal response. What are the symptoms of stress, anxiety, and depression? Actually, they are sharing the common symptoms. And the common symptoms can be divided into 3 categories, which are physical symptoms, psychological or emotional symptoms, as well as behavioral symptoms. For the physical symptoms, we can imagine from the head to toe. They may suffer from this sleeping problem, or suffer from headache, neck pain, or they can have a fast heartbeat, or sometimes they can have gastritis or burping problem, or muscle ache despite they are not perform a heavy duty. Or sometimes they also complain they are getting tired easily, or their lack of energy. For the emotional or psychological symptoms, they may have this anxiety problem. They feel very anxious, they don't have the feeling of secure, and then they also feel powerless despite physically they are fit. And they are surrounded by all the negative feelings which cause them become angry. For the behavioral symptoms, they become crying easily without any precipitating factors, or they are difficult to concentrate or focus and not able to carry out their normal daily activities. They are indecisive, not able to make the right decision, and sometimes they even isolate themselves from the society. Worst scenario, they may increase the use of alcohol, drug, as well as painkillers. Now, let me to give you some example. You receive a call from Madam A. One of her colleagues admitted to hospital because of fever and suspected to have COVID-19. She's very worried about this, and she's not able to sleep and not able to go to work despite the test for the COVID-19 was negative. Is it a normal reaction? I'm sure you agree with me, this is not a normal reaction. Because of this excessive weariness already disturbed her daily activities, and she's not able to perform like usual. So we suggest Madam A should go to see doctor to get a diagnosis as well as treatment early. Besides the condition above, she should see doctors, or when she develops more severe symptoms such as panic attack, whereby she has a fast breathing, or her heartbeat also will be beat very fast, she'll feel numb, and then the body will feel very weak, sometimes nearly fainting. All these other symptoms and signs that she need to seek for help. Now, let us go for the example 2. You receive a call from Madam C, whereby she lost her job during this pandemic. She has 2 children aged 10 to 18, and one of her family members also suffer from COVID-19. Now her mood is very low. She's very sad, and she didn't cook for her family for the past few weeks, despite cooking is one of her hobby. And she also feels tired easily, despite she has adequate rest. Is it a normal response? I'm sure you agree with me this is not a normal response, because she has difficulty in control her emotion. She has a strong sense of sadness, as well as she lost of interest at her hobby. So she should see doctors to get the correct diagnosis as well as treatment. Is there any situation where she need to seek for help immediately. Yes, if she has a suicide thoughts or tendency, she need to see doctors immediately. And whom she should seek for this treatment? She can either go to see a family medicine specialist, psychologist, or psychiatrist. And I also would like to share with you what are the common clues for an elderly who want to commit suicide. Because the clues for suicide in elderly is different from general population, the clues are rather vague or unclear. First, they will stop taking care of their hygiene. Second, they have eating poorly. Third, they will start to giving away their possession. I hope through this talk, we all have a better awareness towards the common mental health issues during this COVID-19 pandemic. Take-home message from my talk are, first, the prevalence of common mental health issue is high during COVID-19 pandemic. Second, if you and me not able to control the symptoms of stress, anxiety, and depression, it's time for us to see doctor to get the correct diagnosis as well as treatment. As we know, early treatment always give a good prognosis. Third, if we are able to recognize the clues of suicide, then we can save a life. With that, I thanks for your attention. Have a nice day. Bye.
Thank you very much, Dr. Chiong, for your explanation. Now, we are aware of how to recognize someone who might have abnormal reactions, as well as who should seek for medical attention. Throughout the talk, Dr. Chiong also emphasized on early diagnosis and treatment to ensure a better outcome. And we may even save one's life. Having said that, do you know that there are up to 70% of those suffering from mental illness did not receive any treatment? There are many misconceptions in society, causing discrimination and stigma to those with mental illness, and they might be the victims of being bullied or harassed. Our next speaker is Dr. Ling Xiaoling, who obtained a medical degree from International Medical University in 2010. She is engaging in psychiatry since 2012 and currently doing her master program in psychiatry in University Kebangsaan, Malaysia. She will share with us the challenges and difficulties in diagnosing and treating mental illness. She will also explain the differences between psychiatrists and psychologists, as well as the services available in Malaysia, which will be helpful for those in need. Now, let us welcome Dr. Ling.
Hello everyone. I'm going to talk about mental health challenges and services that's available in Malaysia. So these are the outlines of my topic, which is going to be barriers to mental health care. When do we need to see a psychiatrist or a psychologist? And I'm going to touch a bit about suicide prevention and also the support group that's available in Malaysia. So globally, about 70% of those who are suffering from mental illness did not receive any form of psychiatric treatment. So why is it so? Why are they reluctant to get any mental health help? So first, a lot of people are lacking in awareness of mental illness, and they are not able to recognize the symptoms of mental illness. And also many thought that it's not treatable, and they are not sure where to get treatment. Third will be about discrimination. Many of those who are suffering from mental illness feels being devalued, rejected, or even mistreated, and they did not get the chance to get the help that they need. And many people actually avoid living or working with those who is actually suffering from mental illness. Last would be stigma. Stigma is when someone look at another person in a very negative way due to a certain characteristic that person have, such as mental illness. So what happens to them? So many people who are suffering from mental illness do not admit that they have mental illness, and they will be very reluctant to seek help. And then they will be lacking of opportunity in terms of their work, their education, or even social activities. And unfortunately, some of them may even become victims of violence, and they become victims of bullying or even harassment. So I'm going to share with you some myths that a lot of people commonly believe. A lot of people think that those who are suffering from mental illness are violent and dangerous. But in actual fact, most of those who are suffering from mental illness are not violent. Actually, less than 5% of those violent acts can be attributed to those who are suffering from severe mental illness. Actually, those who are suffering from mental illness are more prone to become victims of violent crimes instead. So another common myth will be, a lot of people think that mental illness are not real illness. They think it could be due to a weak character or poor coping skills. But in actual fact, psychiatric illness are actually a medical condition with biological, psychological, and social origins. And the good news is there's treatment available to treat this mental illness. So mental illness will not go away on its own, and it's a real health problem. So let's say, if someone fractured a bone, we don't say get over it. And also we don't blame that person for needing to put a cast on or that he needs help. But then why should we blame or dismiss those who are suffering from mental illness? So another common myth that we have will be psychiatric medications are bad and it's not necessary to take them. Some even say it could be just a happy pill to help you to avoid all the problems that they're dealing with. But in actual fact, mental illness are real illness just like any other medical condition. For example, someone who's diabetic would need to take insulin as their form of treatment. So psychiatric medication can improve the symptoms. But many people, when they started taking medications, they tend to stop without consulting their doctors after they start to feel a bit better. But in actual fact, most people need to continue their treatment for a certain period of time to prevent recurrence or relapse of their symptoms. Actually, about 75% of those who stop their medications tend to actually have a recurrence of their symptoms within 2 years. So another common myth will be, a lot of people think that those who are struggling from mental illness do not recover from their illness. But actually, now we have so many treatments that's available, people who are suffering from mental illness can recover from their illness. And no one should actually expect themselves to feel unwell forever. And even those who are suffering from severe and chronic symptoms, they can learn skills to actually cope and manage their symptoms so that they can lead a better quality of life. So if there's anyone who have any mental health concern, you should seek help. But the thing is, who do you want to see and who should we see? Is it a psychologist or is it a psychiatrist? Well, it's a very common confusion, and we get this kind of confusion most of the time. So you're not alone, not to worry about this. So how different are they? A psychologist would have obtained at least a master's or doctoral degree in psychology, which is a study of the human mind and human behavior. And their treatment focus will be more on psychotherapy, and they can actually do psychological testing, which is such as IQ testing or personality testing. So how about a psychiatrist? Well, a psychiatrist is actually a medical doctor who has undergone medical school and they have background on medical training. So they then pursue themselves to specialize themselves into psychiatry. Subsequently, they are a psychiatrist. And what they can do, the main difference is they can prescribe medication. So generally, their treatment approach is more biological. So for example, if let's say we are suspecting someone with depression, we will want to rule out a medical condition such as a thyroid problem first before we diagnose depression. So the choice of whom to see is, we can be guided by the type of condition that you have. For example, if let's say someone have social phobia or they have mild anxiety symptoms, they may benefit more on psychotherapy. So it's better to see a psychologist first. But if let's say someone is having psychotic depression or is highly suicidal, it's better to see a psychiatrist first. But generally, there's an overlap in their job description, and both actually works in managing mental health care issue. So they work as a team or in collaboration. So if let's say your therapist feel that they need to refer you to a psychologist or a psychiatrist counterpart, they can actually refer to each other. So it's okay as long as you are seeing someone and get help. So now I'm going to talk a bit about suicide prevention, because every year about 800,000 people will take their life globally. So even from our local data, about 10% of our youth have the tendency to commit suicide. So suicide is a very real problem. It's the second leading cause of death for those who's aged between 15 years old to 29 years old. But the thing is, it's preventable. So it's okay to talk about suicide. I'm going to introduce you a mnemonic called WAIT, W-A-I-T, which W stands for watch out. We watch out for signs of distress or change of behavior, which could be when we see someone who becomes socially withdrawn, irritable, or they talk about death or suicide. Or let's say someone who starts to say goodbye to you, giving items away to you, or even writing a will. Beware when someone says, no one may miss me if I'm gone. So these are the clues. And A will be ask. Ask that person, are you having suicidal thoughts? Not to worry that this will encourage that person to complete suicide or to do something, because this might be life-saving and may even help to prevent suicide itself. And the third one will be I. It will pass. Reassure that person that the suicidal feeling will pass with time. And last will be T. Talk to others. Actually encourage that person to seek professional help. So who is actually at risk of that we should look out for? So firstly, if someone around you had a history of suicide attempt before, someone who's suffering from depression or have alcohol misuse or drug-related problems, and also someone who's having acute crisis or from severe emotional distress, for example, such as losing a loved one, a relationship breakdown, financial difficulties, or someone who is suffering from chronic pain or chronic illness, or those who are victims of abuse, trauma, or violence. And lastly, will be social isolation, which is a lot like now, which we are facing during the COVID-19 pandemic. So in conjunction to last year's World Mental Health Day, our Ministry of Health actually launched a Let's Talk Minda Sehat campaign, which is to raise the public awareness about mental health and also about suicide. If we know someone who's considering about suicide, talk to them, listen without judgment, and also offer your support. That's another mnemonic that I'm going to introduce you all will be TALK, T-A-L-K, which T stands for tell someone, A is ask for help, L is listen without judgment, and K, know where to seek help. So someone may think that if someone says they are thinking to end their life, it's a form of seeking attention. So they may even dismiss it, thinking that person will never do. But in fact, those who's actually talking about suicide, they often take their own life. And they may even give clues or warning. So if there is someone who is actually saying this, we should take it seriously. Some may think if someone wanted to die, there's nothing that we can do to prevent it. But in fact, most who are suicidal are actually ambivalent about dying. So if we are able to identify this person, we talk to them and help them. So what can we do to help them? First, find an appropriate time and place to talk to these individuals. Let them know that you're there to listen to them and support them. And then we have to encourage this person to get help, get professional help. And we can actually offer to accompany them for their appointments. And if, let's say, the person is highly suicidal, do not leave that person alone. You try to get emergency services, crisis helpline, or even call their family members for help. So we can also attempt to limit dangerous items, such as keeping away sharp objects, pesticides, or medications to reduce the risk. And last, we stay in touch with that person. We check on them from time to time to see how are they doing. I'm here to share with you all with some support group that is available in our country. So the few that we know of will be Befrienders, Lifeline Association of Malaysia, Sneha Malaysia, which is all NGOs. They provide emotional support and advice through their helpline. And also WAO, which is Women's Aid Organization, they provide free crisis support and shelter to women and children who are suffering from abuse. Talian Kasih is actually under our Ministry of Women, Family and Community Development, which also provide 24-hour services daily. So MIASA is actually a mental health advocacy and peer support group, which is based in Selangor, and they offer counselling services as well. MMHA is another non-profit organisation which provides counselling, psychotherapy, and even psychological testing. So Mentari is actually a new initiative by our Ministry of Health to actually improve the outreach and reintegration of those who are suffering from mental illness. So there are about 13 centres nationwide which also provide services for screening of mental illness and also early detection of those who are suffering from this illness. That should be it. Thank you for your kind attention. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Ling. Your talk is very informative. She stressed that mental illness can be treated and should be treated, just similar to those with diabetes or fractured bone. And thanks for the clarification that majority of those with mental illness are not violent. We have learned two important mnemonics today, which explained by Dr. Ling: WAIT, wait, and TALK, talk. We must always listen and talk to those who might be at risk of suicide. She also emphasized that we need to talk to someone or ask for help whenever necessary. As for the long list of support groups shared by Dr. Ling, please do not worry. I will guide you through for the ways to gather information at the end of the talk. Now, I believe that our lifestyle plays an important role to keep our body and mind healthy. The last session of the talk today will be sharing by Ms. Wong Siu Lee, entitled Positive Coping Strategies to Boost Mental Health During the Pandemic. Ms. Wong is a counseling psychologist who graduated from University of Malaysia in 2002. She further studied in the United Kingdom since 2003 and gained her Chartered Psychologist from the British Psychological Society (BPS) in 2006. She returned to Malaysia in 2009 and contributes to community counseling service in Penang. Let us welcome Ms. Wong.
Thank you, Dr. Xiao, for the introduction. Hello, thank you for joining us today. Lately, we might be having various worries due to the pandemic, and the impact can be overwhelming. Social distancing makes it even more challenging for us. Instead of feeling helpless, being trapped inside our house and feeling passive, we can actually do something to change how we think and feel. Stress is actually not an imaginary thing. It's actually our body emergency reaction system getting ready for an attack. Just like when we are in danger, our response might be to fight, flight, or freeze. For example, during this pandemic period, some individuals may get very nervous and react excessively to social distancing. And they might repeatedly check his or her surrounding when they are out and about, and they might sanitize anything that can get hold of or after they touch. So in this case, this is called flight or fight response, where some people might feel constantly anxious, and their heart rate might be faster than usual and become sweaty as well. This excessive overreaction in the long term can actually wear us down and make us feel very exhausted and tired. On the other hand, the freeze response can be described in a condition of shock. Our minds go blank and our body feels numb. However, different individuals have different resources and the psychological state as well. So that will actually produce different coping styles. So we cope with stressful situations differently. In some cases, some individuals can actually stabilize their mood first, calm down, and try to face the difficulty calmly. So in fact, I think that when we are facing with adversity or under severe pressure or stress, there's actually a very good opportunity for us to build our psychological resilience. Those people with strong resilience are more likely to find strength and resources when they encounter difficulty to bounce back up and again. So you might think, oh, so how can we build that resilience? One effective way is actually to help to employ these so-called self-care strategies. So very often, due to a very busy lifestyle and a hectic work schedule, it is very easy to forget to look after ourselves. So if you can imagine, how can a mentally and physically exhausted soldier win in the battlefield? So think about it and make your choice. During this pandemic period, we might have a sense that we are not in control and feeling anxious about what will happen to us. However, there are actually plenty of things that we can control in our daily life. We can't control what is going to happen in the news or the world out there or in the hospital, but we can actually do something in our own home to our own life. We are in charge of our life. So if we can do that, we can actually improve the general well-being. The important point is to ask ourselves, do I want to just sit there and be passive? Or do I want to take full responsibility of my own life and health? If you say yes to the question, then let's do it. So what are the self-care strategies? The first is actually quite simple. We all know about it already. It's to take good care of our body. So let's talk about sleep. All of us love to sleep. So some people might think that during the MCO, because we don't have to go to school or go to work, we can actually sleep whenever we want. We can go to bed late and we sleep until late. But in actual fact, by doing so, we are confusing our natural body alarm clock. And that might lead to reduction in productivity, and we become lack of energy as well. So it's counterintuitive. We might think that we sleep more and we can rest more, but actually it's not, because of our body alarm clock become confused. So please go to bed and get up around the same time each day. Stick to a typical schedule. Practicing good sleep hygiene will actually improve our quality of sleep and prevent insomnia too. Research actually shows that regular physical activity and exercise can help us to reduce our anxiety and improve our mood. I know sometimes it's nice to sleep till late, but if we can get up a little bit earlier and do that morning exercise, trust me, in time you will feel great. So find an activity that you enjoy that includes movement such as dance or exercise on YouTube or app. Go outside to your backyard or balcony, or even go near the window to expose to that beautiful morning sun. That can actually help us to boost the serotonin level, hence giving us a lift in our mood. Next thing, let's talk about food. Please choose a well-balanced diet. Eat the rainbow color food. So please listen to the subtle messages sent from our body. Some food will actually make us feel more tired, like junk food and refined sugars. So when possible, get involved in cooking as well, because it will actually bring out a different experience and is enjoyable and allow us to try different recipes too. Limit caffeine and alcohol, as it can actually aggravate stress and anxiety. According to an online survey, adults may spend an average of 12 hours a day on the screens. Are you shocked to hear this figure? So because we are spending so much time on screen, sometimes we didn't know how long we've been spending on screen. So now you know it's around 12 hours per day. So spending excessive time on the screen will actually affect our physical and mental health. So if we can consciously limit the screen time each day, that will greatly improve the quality of our life. And another piece of advice is, please turn off electrical devices 30 minutes before our bedtime. That will actually help our brain and eye begin to relax and getting ready for the bedtime. So it's important actually to set aside time for ourselves and be aware of our physical and mental states. So stop and be aware of ourselves, our inner states. So symptoms of physical and mental overloading may include headaches, sore shoulders, fatigue, or irritability. So if you find that your partners or your family members become very irritable, maybe they are mentally or physically exhausted. So spending a few minutes of quiet time each day can be refreshing, and it helps to quiet our mind and reduce anxiety. Many people actually benefit from practices such as deep breathing, Qigong, yoga, or meditation. So listening to guided relaxation techniques is another great way as well to relax our body and mind. Please select what works for you and practice it regularly. I have actually chosen 3 different guided relaxation YouTube video links for you to try at home. So the link will be shown towards the end of this program, so please stay tuned. Apart from taking care of our body, paying attention to our mind is also very important. Slow down and listen to our thoughts and emotions from time to time. Ask ourselves, am I alright? Am I tired? And be honest to ourselves and take good care of ourselves too, so that we can have the strength to face whatever that comes our way. So let's look at, are we mindful or mindful? When our minds are full, our thoughts are distracted and all over the place, distracted by various affairs. In a common scenario while eating, we might like to watch TV, reading news on a cell phone, or work on a computer laptop. So in this scenario, which behavior do you think our brain should focus? Yeah. So on the other hand, those who practice mindfulness will actually concentrate on the thing that is in front of them. Mindfulness is living in the present moment, here and now. It's time to ask yourself, how long it's been since you have fully enjoyed a meal without any distraction? Enjoying here does not mean how scrumptious the dishes are, but it's to dedicating ourselves to enjoy the food in front of us or enjoy that conversation with our loved one. There are actually many people who need to work from home during this MCO, so it might be difficult to maintain a regular daily routine. However, maintaining a regular routine is quite important for our mental health. It can give us a sense of control, maintain good habits, make us more able to cope with changes and reduce stress. So in addition to sticking to a regular bedtime routine, let's keep a consistent time for meals, getting up, getting dressed, work and study as well. So if we can, slot in exercise and also activity that we can enjoy to make the day feel fun and enjoyable. So when we are feeling low and having a lot of negative thoughts, a distraction can actually get us away from the cycle of negative thoughts. So we can actually enjoy hobby that we can do at home. For example, identify a new project or clean out that wardrobe that you promised yourself to get to. We can even make a wish list and start from small tasks and then use a dice to pick up one task to try each day. Make the activity fun and enjoyable. We can do something positive to manage anxiety, and this is a healthy coping strategy. So because we are staying at home, we have the tendency to create a long list of to-do lists for us to challenge at home. But by doing so, we can make ourselves feel overwhelmed. So please set reasonable goals each day and outline the steps we can take to reach those goals. Give yourself credit for every step in the right direction, no matter how small. And recognize that some days will be better than others. The most important thing is actually to be kind to ourselves during this very challenging time. So at the moment, a lot of us are chasing after the news from every minute, every second. But constant news about COVID-19 from all types of media can actually heighten the fears about the disease. So we need to be consciously limiting how much time do we spend to read about the news. So Information overloading can actually make us feel even more out of control. So please be aware of that. So when we are feeling low or when we feel bad about ourselves, we can actually choose to focus on the positive things in our life. So instead of dwelling on how bad we feel. So instead of telling ourselves not to think about negative things, a better way is actually to find something positive to replace it. For example, instead of saying, I can't, we can try to replace it with, I will try, and see how things goes. So we can also consider ending each day by listing things that we are thankful for in a gratitude diary. So by doing so, we can actually think about the things that we have instead of thinking that the things that we don't have. So we are channeling our thoughts into a positive direction, and that is very good. So maintain a sense of hope and work towards accept changes as they occur, and try to keep problems in perspective as well. Just like a tree with strong roots, it will not be blown down easily when encountering strong wind. So individuals with a deep and firm life philosophy will not be swayed or defeated easily when they encounter setbacks. So if we can draw strength from a strong belief system, it can actually bring us a sense of direction and control during this difficult time. So when we are feeling low, we might feel that we want to stay away from contacting our family members, but actually keeping in touch with our family and friends will reduce the sense of loneliness and enhance our mental health. If time permits, we can actually help those in need around us. It will help us to improve our sense of well-being and make us feel accomplished. And we can actually expect our current strong feelings to fade when the pandemic is over, but stress is actually part of our life. It won't disappear from our life even when the health crisis ends. So please, if you can, continue these self-care strategies to take care of our mental health and increase our ability to cope with life's ongoing challenges. During this MCO period, have you discovered more about yourself? Especially any new strength. No matter how much or how little, let us welcome the new beginning with a positive attitude. That's our choice. Thank you very much. That's the end of my sharing. Now I'm passing the session over to Dr. Xiao. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Ms. Wong, for giving us such a good overview of how to take care of our body, as well as ways to take care of our mind. Let us embrace the new norm with positive attitude. Lastly, I would like to invite Professor Dato Dr. Boey Meng, SGM Vice General Director, and also Professor from Faculty of Medicine of University of Malaysia, to conclude the talk today. Let us welcome Professor Dato Dr. Boey.
Hello everyone. I hope everyone and your families are healthy and safe. Today we have heard advice from specialists in mental health and family medicine. It is important to remember to seek professional help when we need it. To conclude today's session, I would like to share some guidelines from SGI President Ikeda to help us maintain good health. Quote, 4 points for good health from SGI President Daisaku Ikeda. The first point says, do an invigorating gongyo. Second point, lead a balanced and productive lifestyle. Third, contribute to the welfare of others. And fourth, eat wisely. It's important to follow the basics. If we persist in overindulging in food or drink, not getting enough sleep or working to the point of exhaustion, we will pay for it, falling ill or having some accident. We need to act wisely and lead productive lives. Try to get to bed early, sleep soundly, and get a good rest. Lead a well-ordered life and do gongyo in a refreshing and energizing way. Brimming with vitality as a result, you can contribute positively at your workplace and in your community. Unquote. Next, I would like to talk about 3 eternal guidelines given to the Soka Kindergarten of Malaysia by its founder, Mr. Daisaku Ikeda. These points are hope, courage, and friendship. I believe that these precious educational guidelines are applicable to all of us at this time, whether we are adults or children. Remembering these guidelines and putting them into practice will help us in our battle against mental stress and insecurity. So let's start with the first guideline, hope. Mr. Ikeda once said that as long as there is life, there is hope. And as long as there is hope, we can always find a way forward. When a person is feeling depressed and anxious, it's important for those around him or her to be able to convey a sense of hope. Please remember, there is no dead end in life. Hope is the power to believe in the future. It is to believe that there is meaning in everything that happens, and nothing is wasted. As long as we have hope, we can move forward, undefeated by any obstacles. The second guideline is courage. Often when we come to what seems like a dead end and we feel miserable, it takes courage not to give up, but instead to take a step forward. This is not easy, and that's why the encouragement of family members and friends is important. The courage to challenge and win over one's limitations is what defines a victor. Once we have taken one step forward, we find that we can then take a second step, and then a third step, and the path opens up before us. In this way, we will definitely experience fresh life force, courage, and wisdom welling up from within our lives. The third guideline is friendship. The encouragement of friends and family play an important role to help us maintain our hope and courage. We need never feel alone or isolated, as we have many friends around us who are most willing to listen to our sorrows. At the same time, let's become such people who are always ready to listen to our friends' sufferings and share it. Being a friend does not mean constantly just giving advice in a unidirectional manner. More importantly, we can help a lot just by being available to patiently listen to a friend share his or her worries and sorrows. This is one of the best ways to support a depressed person. Winter always turns to spring. If we do not give up, we will experience the meaning of these words. We will be able to truly experience hope, courage, and friendship. Winter always turns to spring are words that have given endless encouragement to countless people throughout the world. These trees are going through the severe cold of winter. They look bare, without a single flower in sight. It may be just how we are feeling when we are insecure, anxious, and depressed. But the trees do not give up. And when spring arrives, they put forth wonderful blossoms. If nature can work in such wonderful ways, so too can each of our lives. This is the meaning of winter always turns to spring. We all have the right to welcome spring. Let's all, without exception, welcome spring together in our lives. Thank you all very much for attending today's meeting. I pray that all of you and your families will enjoy the very best of health, security, and happiness. Thanks so much.
Thank you very much to Professor Dato, Dr. Boey, and all the speakers for a wonderful talk today. We have compiled the useful information into PDF. It includes the support groups introduced by Dr. Ling and the links for relaxation exercises mentioned by Ms. Wong. You may download the PDF in the description column below this video as shown on the screen. As some of you are going back to work, do not forget to wash your hands regularly. Always put on masks in public and keep social distancing. Besides that, please avoid touching your eyes, nose, or mouth. But if you really need to, remember to wash your hands properly before touching them. Avoid going to crowded places and ensure good ventilations whenever you are. Hope you enjoyed the talk today, and let us maintain a healthy body and mind during the COVID-19 pandemic. Thank you very much for watching. Take care and goodbye, everyone.